Everyone says that doing push-ups every day transforms your body, and the idea seems too simple to go wrong. This simplicity seduces you, convinces you that you finally found a shortcut to a long-term change. I fell into that trap too. I started believing that 50 push-ups a day would just be another easy habit to fit into my routine. Something small, quick, and efficient. Wake up, stretch, put your hands on the floor, and start. It seemed like the kind of discipline anyone could achieve, even me. But the body has its own way of teaching, and it never uses gentle words. In the first few days, the floor seemed further away than ever, as if it were pulling my arms down. The first repetition went well. The second too, but on the third, something in my chest burned, as if it were being sculpted from the inside. I thought I was strong enough to face this, but I quickly realized that my strength was nothing more than a miscalculated idea. Halfway through the repetitions, my arms trembled, as if they were carrying the weight of the world. My elbows buckled, my core loosened, and the confidence I had shattered silently. It's strange to realize how such a basic movement can dismantle parts of you that no daily difficulty can reach. When you put your body to the test, the truth comes out quickly, and it never asks permission. The first truth was the hardest. Simplicity is deceiving. We think simple is easy, but simple has nothing to do with easy. Push-ups are simple, but performing them takes its toll. And when you try to pay that price every day, without rest, without awareness, without preparation, the toll is multiplied. The body reacts first with pain, then with resistance, and finally with a type of fatigue that isn't physical, it's mental. Every day, getting up from the floor felt like a small failure. And the more I tried to prove I could do it, the more my body showed that it wasn't there to be fooled. It knew before I did that I wasn't ready for consistency. And that messes with your head. Because when you fail at something that everyone can do, you start questioning more than just your muscles. You question your willpower, your discipline, your identity. But here's the crucial point of this phase. The illusion isn't in the exercise. It's in the expectation. We expect rapid change, immediate results, linear evolution. But nothing in the body works that way. It took failing every day for several days to understand that true transformation doesn't happen because you do something daily, but because you learn to face discomfort without running away from it. The illusion falls when the body stops lying to you and starts showing you exactly who you are. And that's just the beginning of day. After the first week, something curious began to happen. The pain that burned in my chest and made my arms tremble began to disappear, as if my body was finally getting the message. Those push-ups that once felt like punishment began to flow more easily. I would wake up, put my hands on the floor, and feel a small confidence rising in the back of my mind, as if the battle were getting easier. And that's exactly where the danger lies. The body is a master at creating illusion, especially when it realizes you're starting to believe in yourself. The pain goes away not because you've truly become stronger, but because it's trying to conserve energy. And this small truce seems like victory, but in reality, it's just the beginning of the next test. Standing in front of the mirror, I started noticing small details, a slightly firmer chest, the definition of my triceps becoming clearer, the feeling that something was happening there, even if it was minimal. And when you see these first signs, the mind does what it does best. It exaggerates. It believes the rhythm is working, that the routine is perfect, that progress is accelerating. Without realizing it, I was already in that phase where everything seems to improve too quickly. And that's the kind of feeling that deceives even the most disciplined, because it's addictive. It's almost as if the body is rewarding you for not giving up the previous week. But this reward is not proof of progress. It's part of the cycle. What nobody talks about during this moment is that confidence grows much faster than strength. You start to feel invincible, as if you've finally mastered the movement, when in reality you've only gone through the initial adaptation. The change I saw was real, but superficial. My body was just responding to the shock of the first week, and this response made me believe I was progressing more than I actually was. This is the deceptive peak. a rapid climb that leads nowhere. It's like climbing a mountain thinking you've reached the top, when in reality you've only reached the first viewpoint. And it is precisely at this moment that the fall begins. Without warning, without clear signs, almost imperceptibly. When the body learns to do something, effortlessly, it stops evolving. But I would only understand this later. At that stage, I was blinded by euphoria. The mind creates an entire story based on small results. You think you're getting stronger, but in reality, you're just repeating the same movement with less resistance. And since everything is working, you don't think about adjusting anything. You don't vary angles, you don't correct posture, you don't rest, you don't observe. And that's when training becomes an illusion, a mirror, that shows you what you want to see, not what you need to see. That feeling of sudden improvement is what brings a lot of people down, because when you believe you're doing too well, you stop preparing for what comes next. And in training, as in life, what you don't see is always what brings you down. In my case, that peak. It was the calm before a storm that I couldn't avoid. In the third week, something changed, but not in the way I expected. I kept doing my push-ups every day, believing that routine was shaping me inside and out. But suddenly, everything started to look the same. My body, once reactive, now seemed indifferent. The repetitions that used to burn no longer did. The ones that made me proud no longer did. It was as if my effort had fallen into a bottomless pit, and each additional day was only pushing results further and further away. It's strange to realize when progress stops, because it doesn't happen with a warning. There's no alert, no clear feeling, just silence. A silence that disturbs. In the morning, I would position myself on the floor, align my hands, control my breathing, and nothing changed. It didn't get easier, but it didn't get harder either. It was as if my body had entered an automatic mode, responding to the movements without giving anything in return. I did the same 50 push-ups with the same rhythm, the same form, the same intensity, and the repetition, which should have strengthened me, began to imprison me. It was at that moment that I felt for the first time true frustration. Because you expect discipline to generate results, and when it doesn't, you start to doubt everything, not just the training, yourself. This is the invisible blockage. It arrives without sound, without pain, without sign. It simply appears, and when you realize it, you're already inside it. Stagnation is the most dangerous enemy because it doesn't hurt, it doesn't warn you, it doesn't push you away. It keeps you trapped exactly where you are, making you believe that continuing is enough, and it isn't. The human body is a machine that adapts too quickly, and when it adapts to something, stopping means continuing, and continuing means standing still. Evolution doesn't happen through repetition. Evolution happens through change. I thought I was doing well, but when I looked closely, I realized my chest wasn't defining anymore. My arms weren't growing. My core wasn't responding. It was as if all my effort had crumbled without me realizing it. And that hurts. It hurts because you put in energy, focus, discipline, and receive nothing in return. But that's part of the truth that nobody explains when talking about 30-day challenges. People show the beginning and the end, the initial pain and the final result, but ignore the hardest part, the middle, the part where nothing happens. The part that separates those who give up from those who continue. The invisible roadblock is the real test. It doesn't require physical strength. It requires mental strength. It's where you discover if you're training for appearances or for purpose. It's where you realize if you're seeking change or just surviving the challenge. And it was there, trapped in that silent feeling of stagnation, that I realized that continuing the same way wasn't going to get me anywhere. I needed to change, even if my body didn't ask for it, even if my mind resisted. Because progress only exists when you give your body a reason to evolve. And at that moment, I wasn't giving any reason to. As the days went by, I realized the problem wasn't just stagnation. Something deeper was happening. Something that at first seemed too small to pay attention to, but which soon grew to proportions I could no longer ignore. My chest, previously just sore, began to stiffen, hard in a way that didn't seem like strength, but accumulated tension. My shoulders, which had previously opened easily, began to close without me noticing, as if they were being pulled by invisible threads. And the more I repeated the push-ups, the more this sensation intensified. My posture, which I thought was improving because of the daily training, was silently deteriorating. It was as if I were training a body to look strong, but not to be strong. And then came the shock. I wasn't getting more balanced. I was getting crooked. When I looked carefully, I realized what was happening. Push-ups are a pushing movement. Every time you push, you mainly work your chest, shoulders, and triceps. But there's something many people forget. For every muscle that pushes, there's a muscle that pulls. And when you only train one side, the body becomes unbalanced. The front part gets strong, but the back part gets weak. What I thought was progress was actually a recipe for pain. And the pain came, not as a sharp pain, but as a constant warning. My neck tensed. My lower back complained. My shoulders became more closed each morning. I wasn't building a functional physique. I was building a broken armor. The worst part is that this doesn't happen overnight. It happens slowly, hidden. With each repetition, you reinforce a pattern that the body can't sustain. And when you finally realize it, you've already created a problem that doesn't disappear just because you want it to. It stays there, reminding you that poorly distributed strength isn't strength, it's risk. It was this understanding that made me see the mistake that destroys thousands of people who attempt challenges like this. The mistake isn't in the exercise itself. Of course, push-ups are good. The problem is doing only push-ups. The body wasn't made to function only partially. It needs balance to be strong. It needs distribution to be healthy. It needs variety to evolve. When you train thinking only about what you see in the mirror, you end up ignoring half of your body, exactly the half that keeps you standing, that protects you, that sustains your real strength. That was the hidden price I paid without realizing it. I thought I was getting stronger, but in reality, I was creating a deceptive physique, beautiful on the outside and fragile on the inside. And understanding that wasn't easy. It's hard to accept that what you do with dedication might be harming you. But the truth is simple. The body doesn't lie. It shows. And at that moment, it was showing everything I didn't want to see. But this revelation was necessary, because before fixing things, you need to accept that something is wrong. And I finally accepted. When I finally realized I was building not strength but imbalance, I had to face a truth that no disciplined person likes to accept. I was training wrong. It wasn't for lack of effort. It wasn't for laziness. It wasn't for lack of willpower. It was for lack of strategy. And that's exactly what differentiates those who grow from those who get hurt. The ability to adjust the path before the body demands a higher price. So I stopped, took a deep breath, and asked the question that changes everything. What's really missing here? And the answer came as simple as it was painful. What was missing was balance. What was missing was intention. What was missing was intelligence. And what was missing was the courage to do what everyone avoids, to change. The first change was to include what I had never considered essential, pulling movements. If I spent every day pushing the floor away, I needed to do the opposite movement to bring my body back to center. So I started with the basics. Bodyweight rows using a low bar or even a sturdy table. Resistance band pull-ups using a simple resistance band. Face pulls, that small movement that corrects what years of incorrect training do to the shoulders. At first, it felt strange. I was used to the raw momentum of push-ups, and suddenly I was doing more technical, slower, more precise movements. But in these movements, I noticed something I hadn't seen in a long time: progress. The second change was accepting that rest isn't weakness, it's strategy. Pushing my body every day didn't make me stronger. It made me tense, stiff, and tired. Rest connects what training separates. It reorganizes, it rebuilds, it recharges. When I started including 2 rest days a week, my strength didn't diminish. On the contrary, it finally appeared, as if my body was waiting for me to allow it to breathe. And when it breathed, it responded. The third change was understanding that perfect form is worth more than quantity. Before, I only wanted to reach 50 repetitions. Today, I want each repetition to count as 3. I discovered that 10 perfect push-ups with aligned elbows, a firm core, engaged glutes, and chest almost touching the floor gave me more real results than 50 done haphazardly. Correct form multiplies strength. Incorrect form only multiplies frustration. And when you understand that, you understand everything. And so, changing little by little, I began to see my body truly respond, not as an automatic reaction, but as a partnership. Each movement had a purpose. Each repetition had direction. And for the first time, I felt I wasn't fighting against my body. I was working with it. Correction isn't humiliation. It's rebirth. It's the moment you realize that strength doesn't come from persistent error, but from corrected error. And from then on, my journey ceased to be about surviving the challenge, then became about evolving with it. When the 30 days finally ended, I realized that the result was nothing like what I had imagined at the beginning. I started believing that this challenge was about gaining strength, defining my chest, proving something to myself. But in the end, I discovered that this journey had much less to do with muscles and much more to do with awareness. Because the body changes, it's true, but the mind changes first. And when you understand that, everything transforms along with it. After a whole month living between pain, adaptation, stagnation, and correction, I realized that true strength didn't come from the push-ups I did, but from the choices I had to make along the way. The discipline I thought I had proved too small compared to what I really needed to develop. I discovered that persisting is not the same as evolving, and that repeating is not the same as strengthening. When I looked in the mirror on the 30th day, I was stronger, yes, but in a different way. My chest was firmer, my triceps more defined, my posture more balanced. But more important than that was the feeling of clarity. It was as if my body had been trying to teach me, throughout the challenge, something that only now I could hear. It's not the exercise that transforms you. It's the intention behind it. It's not about doing a lot. It's about doing it right. It's not about following a challenge. It's about understanding what that challenge is trying to reveal about you. The ultimate truth is simple, though no one likes it. There is no real transformation without real discomfort. There is no change without awareness, without failure, without adjustment, without humility. I learned that strength isn't built simply by pushing the ground with anger or willpower. It's built on the patience to correct posture, the courage to rest when the body asks for it, the intelligence to vary stimuli, the honesty to admit when you are training wrong. Because strength isn't what you do when everything is easy. It's what you keep doing when nothing seems to work. In the end, what those 30 days really did was break down the rushed version of myself I had, the version that sought quick results, immediate victory, superficial change. In its place, someone was born who understands the process, who respects the body, who doesn't confuse quantity with progress. And that's worth more than any definition in the mirror. If you want to try this challenge, do it. But do it with intention. Do it strategically. Do it consciously. Vary your angles, correct your form, respect your rest periods, balance each pushing movement with a pulling movement. Don't seek strength that appears. Seek strength that remains. And if this video helped you in any way, comment below what challenge you want to face next month. Subscribe to follow this journey and leave your like to strengthen the channel. Because here, we're not just looking for muscles, we're looking for consistency, clarity, and evolution. The journey only begins when you decide to do better, not more.